Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This week and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be learning about different book awards that books can win. Today, we're going to learn about my favorite book award called the Pura Belpre Award. It is named after this lady. Her name is Pura Belpre, and she was a pretty cool lady. So cool, in fact, that some people got together and said, hey, we should make a special book award in her honor and we'll name it after her. So let's learn a little bit about her. Her name was Pura Belpre, and she was a librarian. She was actually the first Latina librarian at the New York Public Library, a huge library in New York City. She was a really cool lady, and she was Latina. That means that she came from an area of our world where a lot of people speak Spanish and do different cultural things than we might do here in America. People that are Latina or Latino often live in places like Mexico or Central America, South America. Many people in this culture speak Spanish. And the books that win this special award have to give the readers some idea of what it might be like to be a member of this culture, to be a Latina person or a Latino. So when a book wins the Pura Belpre Award, when it wins first place, it gets a medal that looks like this, that has a picture of Pura on it. If it gets second place or third place, that's called an honor book, and it will get a silver medal on it. Okay, so today I'm going to read you one of the books that won the Pura Belpre Award. Actually, this is the winner, the book that won the Pura Belpre Award this year. See, it has our special award, the Gold Award on it. And this book is called Dancing Hands. It's how Teresa Carreno played the piano for President Lincoln. And guess what? True story. It's written by Margarita Engle, and Rafael Lopez did the pictures. And guess what? I've never read this book before, so we get to experience it together. Let's see what happens in Dancing Hands. When Teresa was a little girl in Venezuela, Mama sang lullabies while Papa showed Teresita how to let her happy hands dance across all the beautiful dark and light keys of a piano. At first, making music seemed magical, but Teresa soon learned that playing a piano could be hard work. Sometimes she had to struggle to make the stubborn music behave as she practiced gentle songs that sounded like colorful birds singing in the dark and light branches of a shade-dappled mango tree. And powerful songs that roared like prowling jaguars beside towering waterfalls in a mysterious green jungle. If Teresa felt sad, music cheered her up. And when she was happy, the piano helped her share bursts of joy. By the time she was 6, she could write her own songs. And at 7, she performed in the peaceful chapel of a magnificent cathedral, playing hymns that shimmered like hummingbirds. Music was Teresita's delight, but suddenly, when she was 8, a war changed everything. Guns blazed, swords flashed, and poor Papa had to rush the whole family down to the seashore and onto a ship, into a storm where wind howled, waves rolled, barrels tumbled, ropes snapped, and clouds bucked and kicked across the wild sky like angry mules. By the time the ship arrived in New York, Teresa felt lost. She was homesick. How could she ever play happy songs again in this unfamiliar country where she did not know a single friend? Few people spoke Spanish, and all around her curious strangers stared and whispered, as if her whole family belonged in a museum of oddities. Worst of all, there was fighting here too. The horrible Civil War. North battling South as soldiers marched and newspaper boys hollered about victories, defeats, funerals, and fears. Without a new piano, Teresa would have felt even more lonely. But soon she discovered that wherever one is, some people are friendly, drawn together by songs. Musicians came to her home, playing along while they listened to the dazzling notes of her dancing hands. Determined to improve, Teresa practiced graceful waltzes and sonatas, booming symphonies, and lively folk songs, her strong hands accepting the challenge of life's many dark and light moods. People began to call her the Piano Girl. Her picture was in the newspaper and on posters advertising concerts where she performed with great orchestras that invited her to play solos. Teresa triumphed in enormous theaters where children clapped and cheered while their parents stood up and tossed roses. With Papa at her side, she traveled to elegant cities, and by the time she was 10, the Piano Girl grew so famous that she received amazing invitations, including one so special that she could hardly believe her eyes. President Abraham Lincoln wanted her to play for his whole family at the White House. But the country was still at war, so Teresa arrived in Washington, D.C. at a time when freed slaves were signing up to be soldiers. The injured moaned and nurses groaned from the sheer weariness of caring for so many fevers and wounds. Not long ago, the president's young son had fallen sick and had died. Men argued about battles lost, battles won, speeches made, victory delayed. Teresa began to worry. How could music soothe so much trouble? Poor Abraham Lincoln. There he is. Teresa hoped that she could entertain the president, his grieving wife, and their 2 surviving sons. Her fingers might stumble, the rhythms emerging too slow or too fast. But Teresa was brave, and she believed in trying her best. So she entered the White House silently, clutching Papa's hand fiercely as they stepped into a room so red that it looked like a storm or a sunrise. Teresa remembered how it felt to be a homeless refugee and how lonely she had been surrounded by strangers, some of them rude and others kind. The memory of meeting past challenges now helped her fingers dance, celebrating the way life had turned out to be a mixture of all sorts of feelings, happy and sad. But the piano was poorly tuned, making her music sound ugly. What should she do? Refuse to play? She stopped, feeling discouraged, until Mr. Lincoln smiled kindly and asked for his favorite song, Listen to the Mockingbird. Teresa knew that she could play this lively piece even on an imperfect piano. So her fingers leaped across all the glorious dark and light keys, improvising the way mockingbirds do, the melody changing as she went along. Music swirled and twirled and soared on wings of sound. The president listened quietly to notes that rose, swayed, rippled, and dipped like a bird in a blue sky above a green forest. He closed his eyes, nodded his head, stretched his long fingers, and tapped the tips of his shiny shoes. When the joyful song ended, Abe Lincoln stood up and clapped, smiling at the piano girl, who smiled too, because she knew that her music had brought comfort to a grieving family, at least for one brief, wonderful evening of dancing hands. From then on, Teresa felt certain she would always be bold enough to share her musical courage anywhere in the world, simply by letting her fingers travel across all the beautiful dark and light moments of hope. The end. What'd you think of this story? Did you like it? Not so much? A little bit? Remember, I had never read this story either, so this is my first time hearing it, and I really liked it. First of all, it's pretty cool to learn a little bit about what it might be like to be a child from another country who has to move. Can you imagine what it would be like to move somewhere new where you don't have any friends and where no one even speaks the same language as you? That would be kind of scary. But it was Teresa's piano playing that helped her feel her feelings out loud. She played angry songs when she felt a little upset, and she would play lighthearted, happy songs to bring joy. And that's the other part I loved about this book, how music can bring us some happiness and some joy even when times seem really dark. I can't help but think about how the characters in this story were going through a really dark time with war. There was a lot of uncertainty, and it was scary at times. I know we're not going through a war right now, but there's definitely some uncertainty in our lives right now. And it's kind of dark sometimes, and you might feel alone. You might be missing your friends. You might feel sad some days. So maybe we should all get out a little music and try and lift up our spirits during this strange kind of dark time. If you know how to play music, you could play some music. If you can't play music, you could just listen to some music. One of your favorite songs that makes you feel really happy. I'm going to try that. So thanks for listening and learning about our new special book award, the Pura Belpre Award. We're going to be learning about other books that have won her special award all this week. So make sure to come back to our YouTube channel, I Lost My Library Book, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.